Alrighty. Hello. Hopefully you can hear me. So, got my coffee, got my paints, and got a miniature. It's just about ready to get painted. So, who am I and what am I doing? Well, I am a nerd who likes playing D&D. Would love to play Warhammer, but didn't have enough money. So I am putting together a mini for a D&D boss fight coming up here in a couple weeks, and so I thought I would share the experience of painting something from the beginning. Now, I am not an experienced painter, but it's always fun to try some new things. I've only been painting for, well, not very long, like maybe a month or two. Only done, a couple dozen models. When it comes to, like, I imagine being more on the Warhammer 40K side of things where you're painting entire armies, I haven't even gotten close to that. But I've liked what I've done, so I thought I'd continue. What I am painting here is a red dragon modeled by, I forgot his name, but he does he did the entire D&D monster manual. Let's see if I can find them real quick. His Thingiverse account is, there we go, Miguel Zavala, MZ4250 on Thingiverse, and I've just borrowed, well, he has everything up for free. Aha, thank you, Captain Margaret. He has uploaded all the stuff for free to 3D print, and I've got a 3D printer. So I printed this puppy, which took a very long time. Lots of printing out in the garage. Let's see. I'm not sure I can do anything about the focus. Unfortunately, this is just a basic little webcam. So, is there anything that's pulling the focus? Let's see. Yeah, it's hard to tell. But anyway, yeah, so this guy took a while, and I just finished up yesterday. So I'm just cleaning up the model, and hopefully I'm going to start painting here. Now, I did mess around with some of the printing settings. So I need to keep this on camera, don't I? I printed this vertically, where, if you can see on this model, let's see, I can get some light in here. There we go. Yeah, you can see from the lines, I printed this one just kind of in a standard orientation. I also did this wing in kind of a standard orientation, but that can leave some nasty texturing on the base. And also it was all full of support lines and stuff like that, which was a little bit annoying. So I printed this one vertically. You can see the print lines here. But that does mean that all that nasty stuff went on the edge of the wingtips. However, I decided that that was probably better because it kind of makes a ratty wingtip edge as opposed to a ratty wing. And we all know dragons have those gnarly wing edges, especially if they're bad guys. So, let's see. I think that's just about done. I think I can prime this now. Okay, so I will say that Miguel, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He did the model, but I did do the cuts and slices. And so this was originally one model, but I did slice it up. Oof, that was a really bad glue. I'm gonna pop that out before that becomes a problem. He did a great job modeling this. But it was just a little bit big for my printer. So I popped it in the blender and sliced it up, made some joins, and hopefully, I can get a good print going on here. Let's see. Excuse me. Hopefully I can get a good bind here. I may have messed that up. Yeah, I'll clean up. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. I want to get my camera a little bit. Oh, there you go. That's going to be a lot easier for me to work with. Just trying to get the glue out of the socket here for right now. Yeah. Pretty happy with the print and the model. No, I don't care. I'm just going to clean up this part. Hopefully I'll have enough space. And I started modeling, well, honestly, I started 3D modeling a long time ago. Got involved with a open source game engine forum. No clue how to code or anything like that, but it was just kind of a fun community around a game that I had played a while ago. And I learned, I was looking around and just seeing like what the community was doing, and I saw that people were making these 3D models and stuff for stuff. I was like, that's cool. So I started doing that. Never really contributed much because I didn't really know. Honestly, at that time, I didn't really know what was going on. I need to keep this on the desk. Okay, let's see if I can make this a little bit better. Less glue is more glue. Gotta remove that. Does that work? Cool. No, that is bad. Okay. We need to fix some things. But anyway, I started 3D modeling back then. Used Wings 3D as my modeling software, which is great, but a little rough. Doesn't give you as much control as I would like. And so I kind of got familiar with 3D modeling there. And that translated into me doing stuff with Blender. Only like this last year. But people that can do stuff like this really impress me. But I started really getting interested in painting miniatures. Well, correction. I've been playing D&D for quite a while. And the miniature painting side of things didn't really intrigue me. And so I just didn't really care. But then I started watching Warhammer 40K battle reports. And just all the gorgeous miniatures and terrain and stuff like that that people made just really inspired me, and I just wanted to do that because I realized that the spectacle of seeing these armies fight each other just really inspired me. And so I decided, hey, I can't play 40K right now, but I've got D&D and I love playing D&D, so why not start working on that? So I started painting some other random miniatures and so on and so forth. Realized that I wasn't nearly as bad at it as I thought I was going to be, which really inspired me to keep going. And so, you know, why not get a nice big old dragon to paint? I've already painted one, kind of a blue dragon. Okay, let's try this one more time. Let's see, how does this feel? Ooh, that is tight. Let me clean this up some more. Yeah, there we go. What was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah, I've done one dragon before. It was blue. And this dragon now. Which is going to be for the big old, actually, end of campaign boss fight. So that's going to be entertaining. Man, probably should have done this before I streamed. Hey. You get to see all the nitty-gritties of why you don't use hot glue, in all honesty, and cleaning up messes. How's this looking? It's looking a lot. It's looking a lot better. Okay. Glue time. Still not as good as I'd like. Ooh, I may have just messed up more than I can fix there. You can see there's a pretty strong seam right there, which I do not like. Man, that is frustrating. I think I can fix this though by shaving off this dump and just making sure there's plenty of space for the glue to go. I'm still getting a handle on how much spacing I need in these little chunks, are the little notches. So we're just gonna shave that off a little bit. I'm pretty sure it goes without saying, but be safe when you're using X-Acto knives and cutting towards yourself. There we go. Okay. Third time's a charm. Well, it's the best we've gotten so far, so we're going to go with this. The top seam is not all that bad. The bottom seam, though, a little rough. What we're going to do, we're going to take a little hot glue, and pretty much just stuff it in there. Kind of like a putty. Then hope that the paint job covers our sins. Just don't want a big seam. I don't mind there being kind of rough bits. I want the seam. Same with the top here. And we'll find out if this actually works or not. There we go. All right. Man. I focus. There we go. Okay, dokie. Well, we've gotten as good as we can. So, time for painting. I have no clue what I'm doing. So, actually I made this myself. Model and printed it. This little brush holder that has been super useful. I need some water for painting, so please hold. Alrighty. So normally, I would suggest using a full-blown primer for doing this, but I've found with 3D models like this, or excuse me, with 3D printed stuff like this, it's actually coarse enough that it holds paint actually pretty well. So I'm just going to do a black primer, or just a black acrylic paint as a base. And then put some red over it, I think. We're just going to start there. I know that on the inside right here, I want to make it more of a tan color, kind of a bone color, but everything else is definitely going to be red. I think I'm probably going to actually right on over here. So this was the previous dragon that I did. Let's see if I can get some light on it. There we go. Went with a blue motif, and easy because I was able to just lighten it with white, and that worked really well. But red has a bad habit of turning more pink when you try to lighten it with just white. So I am probably going to be trying to do that with more of an orange color and darkening it with either like a burnt sienna or something like that. Because black doesn't hold that super well. It's actually an interesting point. I'm going to do a color test. I think the best way to do it is actually on the base. So you're not really going to be able to see this. But I want to see what the better base color is, because black might just make the red look weird. So I'm seeing if black or burnt sienna is the best base color for this. do. I don't want to go super crazy here. We're just going to test it out on the base and let's see. There's a way that you can actually see. There we go. So I'm just going to throw some black on here. Pretty light. Not going crazy. Whatever black I'm using here, which I'm actually not even sure. What's it? Chrome coat? Not even sure. Sticks pretty well. I really like it. And like is super saturated and holds pretty well. So with the burnt sienna, that does not go on quite as thick. I just have to wait for these to dry just a little bit. So I'm gonna get some of my red out. And I'm pretty sure I do not want it that color of red. So we're going to try some. I think we're going to try a little bit of burnt sienna in there. Just a smidge. Because that has a tendency of like making it a little bit more of a rust color. Darkening up that way, which I like better than adding black. Yeah, that's better. So I'm going for more of like a rusty red, more on the red-brown side of things as opposed to a bright, vibrant red. So we shall see how this layers. So starting with the black. See, the black tends to make it look almost purple. Oh, I didn't let that dry long enough, did I? Let's see. Which I am not a fan of. Putting it on top of a burnt sienna base coat. You can see that working better. Cool. Okay. So we're not going to go with a black base. We are just going to go with a burnt sienna. Chemical garnish, and we are going to go hog wild on this puppy. And just so that we don't double down on our mistakes if we make any, we're just going to start with a wing and see how that goes. See, I already like the tone and texture of burnt sienna on this. I think the red is going to sit on it pretty well. Pardon my phone. There we go. I've only done, well, apart from that blue dragon you saw, I've only really done small miniatures, and so never know how to estimate like how much paint I'm actually going to use for a base coat when I'm doing something with so much real estate. One of the things to watch out for when you 3D print is that you'll oftentimes get a lot of these wispies. Like when you do something injection molded or something like that, you have these mold lines you have to deal with. But when you 3D print, well, for one thing, you do get print layers, which is just always going to make the model not quite as high of fidelity and quality. But you're also going to have these little wispies. Man, I wish this would. Quality seems just a little bit. It's a little bit blurry. Well, only so much I can do. Ah. Hey, fam. But no, a great thing to do is just keep an eye out for these little wispies from the cleanup, because once you base coat it, they really start to pop because sometimes they're hard to see when you just have gray or black filament going on. But as soon as you get some paint on there, it's a lot easier to see where something has gotten kind of wispied. Like right in here, you see there's a little extra glue. So let's see. I'm trying to figure out where it's wanting to pull focus. Yeah, for cheap webcams. Or okay. Let's see. Let's finish the top side of this, and then we'll go on to the bottom. There's an argument to be made that I should have painted these separately. Yep. Definitely an argument to be made. But I think I can get pretty much every important angle here. Now to see if my melding job of hot glue on this wing worked. Sort of. Better than the massive gap I had previously. Okay. That's actually not bad. Wow. That one is going crazy. Anyway, time for the bottom. I think I can just rest that there. Time to just layer this on. More family. Hello, fam. Yeah, I'm not sure what I can do about the camera. It's just, let's see. Might be able to get a little bit closer. It also just might be the stream quality, which I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know what I can do about it, unfortunately. Other than, get a better camera with, a manual focal length or manual focus. But yeah. Anyway, where was I? almost out of paint, apparently. Yeah, way more real estate on something this size. I am... Ooh, yeah, this is going to take a little extra cleanup once the paint's dried. Okay, we need some more burnt sienna, and we need a cleaner brush. I'm really excited to see how the red plays onto this. There we go, that's better. And we shall see. All the nooks and crannies. Okay. And brush up the edges. Ooh, that's looking nice on top. Gotta remember to not hunch my shoulders and to breathe. Good health tips when painting. Don't hunch. You will regret it after 4 hours. Okay. So the top is mostly dry. That's definitely not dry. Question is, do I throw another base coat in, or do I just call it here? I don't want to be too impatient, but I feel like I could definitely use another light coat at least on the top here, just because this is going to be, well, when you're, so painting models, you have a composition question to have. You have a composition question to answer, which is what part of the model is actually going to be seen the most, because you can get, honestly, away with a lot just because there are some parts of the model that no matter how you look at it, you just don't really see that much. Like, say, a great example is the inside of a mouth. If you can just basically give the implication that something is going on, you don't actually need all that much color in there. But something like the top of a wing, that is going to be one of the major viewing points of the model, along with the face. And if you don't get that good, which, let's be honest, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to get it good. But if you don't get that good, then the whole model is going to suffer. But you can cut corners on other parts. Now, this guy is going to be mostly seen from kind of this angle, which means top of the wings and the face and the front are what's the most important. Which means I really want to make sure that I'm not looking through and seeing gray, hints of gray plastic when someone's looking at the model. No wispy to take care of. Now, one thing I found with the yes. Okay. Chat, you just got me. One thing I found with the 3D printing is that sometimes it can add a nice bit of texture if you know how to work with it. So it's kind of hard to see it right here, but you can see, so you can get some light. There you go. Some of the printing layers up top here. And when you dry brush that, well, buddy, you can get some really interesting texture to it. So that's my hope going on right there. Okay. All right, so we just gotta let that go. So, I think it's next wing. Because I need to let this dry. Thankfully, there's plenty of places to hold this that won't get my hands painted. Definitely the largest thing I've painted, so allowing myself to be a little bit more aggressive on my base coats. I may not even need to be all that thorough. Because if I'm going to do a second base coat on here, oh yeah, it's going to be way faster than the first base coat. This is the wing that I printed horizontally, or excuse me, vertically. The left one was one that I did horizontally. So it'll be cool to see how this actually pans out texture-wise, especially after the dry brush, because I've got a lot of weird print lines on here. But I don't know what the dry brush is going to make them look like. For the front here, oops. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, I probably could have done a better job with that. But you live and you learn. Nice thing about 3D printing and the absolutely awesome 3D modeling community is that so much of their stuff is free. And if you mess up, worst comes to worst, you can spend another $2 on $2 on filament and just reprint an entire model with the stuff that you learned. It's a great hobby of just learning and exploring, going, hey, how does this work? How does this work? How can I make this better? Which, if you're into that, can make it a lot of fun. Freddie would like to know, the Cinder King. Maybe. Yeah, it is. Which I'm having a lot of fun figuring out how this guy is actually going to look, because he might end up looking a lot more rusted than I had originally thought, which I think is a really cool idea for a red dragon. It's to be more of a rust color than a little bit more of a rust color than a typical like classic front of the monster manual red dragon. I'm always a fan of more midtones, and I'm always a fan of more like midtones or like high saturation, like rich colors. I'm not a huge fan of pastels. And I'm not a huge fan of watercolors when they are super, well, oddly enough, watered down. But if you do watercolors in a more saturated way, I do like that. And so there we go. So having this rich kind of mud brown to start with red over it, I think is going to work pretty well. Let's see. Have you ever cannibalized parts from a failed print to add parts to other models? I don't think I have. I normally try to print things from base because I don't have super good gluing materials. Like the kit bashing side of things, I just don't have the equipment for, not yet anyway. So it's honestly just easier for me to go back into the 3D model it the correct way, and then or model in whatever I may want to kit bash onto it and just start from scratch. However, side note, I have now decided that I am never printing directly onto a base ever again. And you might be going, Ian, why is that? And, well, that's an excellent question. I'm about to tell you. Because painting that underbelly is going to be a pain with this base on. And it's just going to be a lot easier in future if I just print everything in pieces and then work from there. and then like glue it onto a base. All right, I think that's mostly wings done. I might need a second coat on this right wing here, but I think we're just about ready. Let's see, how tacky are we? Yeah, we're looking up a little bit. Alrighty. Coffee time. Not gonna lie, having thrown together this little streaming spot, I am very happy with the aesthetic here. Looks very accidentally thrown together, but in kind of a decent way. All right. What can I paint when I'm drawing this? Not sure. I will say, I did make my palette here. I 3D modeled and printed this. And one of the things I love about the 3D printing hobby is you literally have a fabricator, in my case, a closet, which is that way, and is just very handy because if you know how to use Blender or anything like that, it's pretty easy and intuitive to make just random stuff. Like I made my brush holder here, I made my palette here, other random things. I have, this little holder for my glasses. Oop, you see that? There you go. My little holder for my glasses here. All just designed. See, that's cool about the base. As far as the hodgepodging something out of parts, I was mostly thinking building something unexpected from what you have looking around, like, yeah, I mean, kit bashing has a long history in, like, all parts of, like, the modeling hobby. But no, that's a good idea. I should try that sometime. I know I have definitely used a failed print to help inform new decisions, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. We should try. I should try that sometime. But anyway, okay. I think we're on the reds. So this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we hope I did not make a terrible decision in how I do this. Okay, we're going for reds. So this is just a plain old red that I put some burnt sienna in because I wanted to. Unfortunately, the only reds I have are a little bit too blue, and having a true blood red is a little bit hard. So we'll see how that goes. Macaru, yes, it's kit bashing. Some of the, I would say probably some of the most famous would be in Star Trek. A lot of great background ships in Star Trek were created from just kit bashing, putting parts from different kits together to make different types of ships and stuff like that. And because you'd get a modeling kit and then you'd bash them together, quite literally. At least I think that's what the etymology is. Maybe. I'm really fighting with not really liking this red all this much, but hopefully when it dries, it will give me a little bit more of what I'm looking for. But yeah, it's especially common in miniature wargaming. So things like Warhammer 40K, people will do conversions. So they'll, let's say you got your Space Marine that you really want to put a las cannon on, even though a Space Marine isn't necessarily supposed to have a las cannon on a basic level, unless he's like a super heavy Space Marine. But you can just steal that part from a different model and make it work. That's where stuff like, I think it's green stuff is what it's called. It's kind of like a modeling putty, which I really need, because that would really help with tightening up those seams. And that can just help give you a more tactile modeling side of something. Instead of relying completely on the computer or completely on the parts that were shipped to you in the kit. So, yeah, kit bashing is a lot of fun. I have not found a huge need for it, considering that I can just print all my own parts. But doing something with like green stuff or using old parts that didn't print right, I think could definitely have a place. But I normally print stuff like to order. And so I don't really have a huge need for, like, I don't have a whole bunch of like old parts that I need to use. And if something fails, if the print fails on something, it normally fails so catastrophically that there's not much to salvage. So that's part of the issue there. But yeah, I'm hoping to get into the 40K hobby at some point, but it's a lot of money and I would need to justify the expense. Oh, got the top done, and I don't know, it's a lot bluer to my light than it looks like on camera, but I'm hoping that this will dry into a more rusty color, which I'm already thinking it is. So we'll see. This could come out pretty good. Okay, time for the other side. And then we will throw our second coat. Actually, no, we're going to throw our second coat on the right wing now. And kind of try to space out our paint drying. One thing that was a really cool, happy accident, I guess you could say, that I found out when I started doing mini painting is I have a very active brain. It does not shut up. If you've heard about guys having the quote unquote nothing box that they can hop into or whatever, it takes a lot of effort for me to hop into a nothing box. My brain is just always going. I'm very visual in my head, so I'm always seeing something. I'm always saying something. I'm always mulling through a problem or an equation or something like that. And it's just really hard for my brain to just shut up and give me a break. And one of the interesting things is that mini painting actually gives me a chance to hop inside of a nothing box. Which, I mean, you have the, you might be asking the question like, well, then why are you inviting other people to watch you paint minis and talk? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Sound like streaming would be fun. So anyway, if I do want some kind of alone time where my brain can be quiet, painting minis has become a kind of a nice little escape for me, at least. I know it has for a lot of people too. Luton on YouTube, who he does Warhammer 40K lore videos. Aha, thank you. Extra water from the sister. Thank you. he was talking about the potential psychological benefits of. Oh, I am not on camera. Of the hobby. Really, inspired by a video, Winter's SEO. Winter's SEO. I can't exactly remember his channel name, but a little while ago he released a video talking about how the hobby really helped him struggling with stress and depression. And so Luton went, hey, this is something we really need to talk about. So he started talking to people about what how the hobby had helped them with their psychological health. And one of the things that just kept coming up in all over the place, and he talked to people to make sure that it was okay for him to share their stories. But one of the major things was it was creative. It was a place that they could just get lost in. Yeah, just a really cool, just a hobby that they could leave the world behind and just kind of do something creative and not stressful. And which I just thought was really cool. Like, on top of that too, there was a lot of cases of people who were and this is more unique to Warhammer 40K, but of veterans finding kind of a comfort in the dark humor of 40K and the exaggeration. Which I just thought was really interesting. I have a lot of respect and care a lot about veterans getting the respect and the help they need from whatever they went through. And to hear that a hobby about, genetically enhanced super soldiers and power armor, space marines fighting, terrible alien forces, being a way for veterans to find community and a place where their brain can be quiet and have a spot for their dark senses of humor, which they acquired to help cope, just struck me as really cool. So I really like that. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. So anyway, looks like it's time for red on the bottom of the wing. Alrighty. Not sure if we're actually going to be able to get through all this in one sitting, because it's been almost an hour. And I haven't even finished base coating both wings. So we'll see how this goes. If anybody has any suggestions on what to do for these wing edges, I would love to hear it, because I have no clue. I'm just painting everything over right now because I think it's hard to go wrong with a brown and red base that you can then paint over in more detail. Okay, this red's growing on me a little bit more. But this crusty underwing is not. Good grief. So let's see. probably should have turned off notifications on my phone a long time ago because I have 25 messages that are chilling here. So I'm going to put that on Do Not Disturb for right now. Okay. The problem with these crusty spots is that I don't mind the texture. It's actually that they just grab paint and they take forever to dry. So we'll see. Let's get these wing edges. Yeah, so this is coming up a lot more orangey on camera than it is for me. But I'm actually, ooh, no, okay. That dried into a very nice color. I think we're on to something, chat. I think we're on to something. So, let's see. That's mostly done. I can touch up a lot of this stuff later. I'm just trying to do the quick stuff now. But that is a nice looking wing there. Not a spicy wing. Just a nice looking wing. Yeah, I am not a spice person. A lighter highlight. Yeah, I'm thinking of taking the highlights in an orange direction. Taking the same red burnt sienna base and then throwing a little bit of orange to lighten it up. But as a yes, have lunch. Oh, it's only noon? Wow. Okay, I started earlier than I thought. Yes, Nagru, I think, yeah, we'll see what a brighter highlight looks like. And yeah. Okay, we'll see how much of a endurance stream this is. Pardon me? Nose blowing break. Alrighty. So another thing that I've done before for highlights, and you can barely see it on this model, I don't think you really can, is that on the ridges here, yeah, you can't really see it, but I used a complementary color. I used some purple to lighten it up. And I wonder if the same idea could work on this of actually no, that's what I learned on this on the Blue Dragon is that I want to dry brush lighter. So I want the flats to be the darkest area. I want to do that first. So okay, man. I take back my skepticism. That red is gorgeous. Okay, let's make some more of it. My very complicated scientific method of measuring paint, aka eyeball it until it looks right. Which I'm pretty sure if you ask most artists, it's pretty much how they do everything. Although I know a few individuals who would meticulously mix their paints given half the chance. There we go. I found that mixing paints with my paintbrush just really works into the bristles, and I end up losing a lot of paint. But using this little, honestly, it's an old nail that I ground the tip down for because I wanted to make a throwing spike when I was like 12. I just always kept hold of it. There you go. And I found it very useful for a variety of different things. Okay. We are about to get wing number 2. I have been very rough on my brushes in the past, so I am hoping to try to keep this guy a little bit more clean this time. Okay, we've got our double coat on the front and the base. I think we're good. Okay, let's go. I think mostly what my problem with this red is that when it's wet, it looks very blue to my eye, like it is way too close to a purple. Or I guess it's cool. It looks cool to my eye. And as I said, I like warm colors. And so that's why I was trying to mix in some of the burnt sienna, and then also why I was basing with burnt sienna. But as we're going here, I'm really liking this look. Because as the red is drying, it's cooling. Okay, because using the stream preview to get a different angle on the model while I'm painting it. Streamer hacks. Let's see. Oh, what was I going to say? I'll have to try using cooler colors at some point, because I think it's good to try to learn how to use everything at your disposal. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I come from a pencil art style, artistically. Never really developed my own style, but I got halfway decent at being able to look at a piece of, honestly, it was other art. Like, I was really bad at copying like real life things, but another artist's composition or whatever, I could pretty decently look at it and just copy it by eye. And but everything I did was just pencil, black and white. 2B pencil is my best friend. And so my eye for values is decent, but I have almost no clue about color theory. All I can do is look at something and go, that looks right. And then I can kind of try to figure out why. So I go with a lot of trial and error when I'm painting, because I have no clue what I'm doing. So if anybody has any suggestions about how to get good color, please let me know. I kind of lucked out with that blue dragon, because I was able to lighten my blue with white, and that's all I needed. Like, I could darken the blue with black, and I could lighten with white, and I could get a nice color gradation. And as I said, I have a decent eye for values, and so I could get the values right pretty well. Okay, getting there. So trying to working with this red here and not being able to lighten with white because it just kind of turns pink, and not being able to darken with black because it tends to turn blue, is the challenge for me. And so that's where I'm trying to go with more of a lighten with orange, darken with burnt sienna. Is kind of what I'm vying for. That's looking pretty good. And that will, yeah, he's starting to look like a red dragon. Look at that. Rawr. I'm also a big fan of black. It's good contrasting, nice saturation. So I'm thinking that that horns horns and claws might go black. Just because I like it. Something else to consider is I'm not sure what I want to do for the underwing, because something that I did for this blue dragon here is I made the back wings very dark with kind of a mottled texture, but then I made, there we go. The underwings is much lighter blue, with a softer texture, and so you can see there. I'm not sure if I want to do something like that for this one, where it's like darker on the top of the wings, and then maybe go with some like orange brightened dry brushing on the underside to give a sense of just like, so it's just not like this one matte color. I think right now we are on to painting the main body and tail, at least the top side of it. So we're gonna need some more of that burnt sienna, which I am told in the artist world is your best friend. Which I am starting to learn. Ooh, we got one vote for orange on the underwing. Okay, considering that so far there has only been one vote, orange on the underwing is in the lead. I need a different brush. I need something a little bit smaller for this, I think. Okay. Because I don't want to mess up what I've already gotten in here. This is, I'm going to have to be a little bit aggressive with, because I've got a lot of like spikes in here, which is going to make the dry brush look amazing. But it's going to take a little bit of work to fill in. But as I said before, like, you're only going to look at a model from so many directions, especially when it's on the table for a couple-hour boss fight. And so overdoing it may not be necessary. Let's see if we can get some of that in here. Yeah, I think starting everything in kind of like this mid-tone burnt sienna is a good plan, because I can take it lighter or darker relatively easily. It's kind of like doing a base coat in a gray. Which can help it can kind of let you take the what was I saying? What's the word? The values, whichever direction you want. It's relatively easy to lighten it, and it's relatively easy to darken it. So, oh, I've got some major paint buildup right here. Get that out of there. Okay, get that tail nice and painted up. Let's see. Really want to be able to get rid of that seam right there. I don't know how to do it. I think that is just a limitation of my materials at the moment. So I'm just going to try to do the age-old trick of paint globbing it and hoping that it dries in a way that kind of covers it up as best as it can. The little paint that could. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can get in and around the wings just to kind of get the upper parts here. One of the things that I have heard for painting tips, because I've been watching a lot of, well, Warhammer 40K painting tutorials to help me learn how to paint, is depending on how you primer, you can help mess with the saturation. I first heard it there, but I saw it better expressed in digital painting, where you pretty much paint your entire painting grayscale, and then with a special layering technique, you add in color later, and instead of like overlaying the grayscale you have, the grayscale is used to determine kind of the saturation of your previous. Sorry, the wing's kind of blocking what I'm doing here, but I had the camera in a better spot. I might be able to do it, but I can't right now. Apologies. But effectively, you do all your values in black and white, and then you throw color in afterwards, and the values stay the same. But then you get to add the color later, and it can really up your digital art game. And I was seeing how you can do that also with mini painting, where if you do a black primer on the bottom and then a lighter primer on top, you can get this sense of brightness on the top of your model and then a darker gloominess on the base, which is pretty cool. I have yet to attempt that. I have not found a primer that really works for me. Ooh, I did not do a very good job on that front edge there. So yeah, we'll see if I ever do that. I need to find some good paint primers. Mostly the primers I have they have a lot of smell to them, and that's a problem. Let's get you painted. There we go. Okay, let me let that dry itself out. Make sure there isn't too much globbed up. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, if I'm going to do that at some point, but it'll be fun to try. I feel like I've gone to like 5 different subjects and not like resolved any of them. Okay, well, we're waiting for some things to dry here. I'm trying to decide what goes next on these wings. So I like the idea. I really do like the idea of an orange on the underwing to kind of lighten it up. But I'm still kind of waiting for the underwings to dry a little bit. You can still see that some of them are a little bit glossy still drying out. But I'm loving the color so far. It's really working for me. But I don't want them to just be flat red. I want some change in texture to them. So what I did on this blue dragon is I stippled, I think, a lighter blue onto the wings to really give a texture to it, even though there isn't a huge amount of texture in like the model itself. And I could see doing that with some orange on here, but I'm not sure I I like that. So okay, so here's some thoughts. I definitely want to do some black dry brushing because I've done something like that before. This is a test piece that I did, and I really like kind of that cracked, almost magma style that is given here. Now, this is a really rough print, but I really like this kind of rough, cracked magma look. And dry brushing some black on there could really lend itself to this cool fire dragon aesthetic, especially that this guy's supposed to be pretty old. So I like the idea of going with these warm colors on the underside, like if he were to curl up into a ball, he'd have this really hot center, but then have this like cool off like magma exterior. So that's where I'm thinking that a lot of the dry brushing on the top of him is actually going to be shaded dark, and the dry brushing on the underside of him is going to be shaded bright, or dry brushed and highlighted bright. So that's what I'm thinking so far, and I really like that concept. Yeah. Contemplation and thoughts while drinking coffee and waiting for your paint to dry. Welcome to being an artist. Yeah, I'm very happy with the hour that I put into this so far. I also really like these ridges on his head. I think those will do a really good job going black with maybe some red highlights. Today was my first try using French press at home, and by golly, it is a lot tastier than I was expecting. So, okay. I think we are going to try to darken some red and steeple that into the into these broad sections of the wing, and then we're going to try to dry brush black onto the ridges, and then we're going to take Macaru's suggestion of using a brighter highlight on the underside to warm that up. So, let's darken up some red. How do we darken that up? Ooh. Okay, I've been told that you use purple. So we're going to do some experimentation. Let's see, what is this? Plum. Cranberry wine. Well, or do we, man, because I don't want to go too brown. I do not want to go too brown. So we are going to take this burnt sienna red that I have going on here. We're going to try to mix that with just a little bit of purple and see what color we get. This is exactly why I made that center palette. Am I using an X-Acto knife for a paint trowel? Of course not. That'd be stupid. When you don't have the equipment you need, we're just going to take a little bit of this purple. I just want to see what color we get. Because I don't want it to go too blue, but it does need to darken. So what we're going to do, we're going to dry out this brush just a little bit so that we get a good steepling pattern. Steppling? I don't even know how to say it. And we are going to try putting that on here. And if we don't like it, we'll just cover it up with more red. Because acrylics, yay! That is not doing a great job of staining. The contrast is not great. I'm sure you can see it with this. I don't know. It might give us just an increase in kind of visual texture without really giving much away. Because if we're not putting on with brush strokes, it's going to add a little bit of mottledness to it. Okay, I'm not hating the purple. But it's pretty subtle. Not gonna lie. We may need to darken it even some more. All right, guys. We're gonna go full insanity here. We are going to put the purple, just a straight, what was this? Cranberry wine, onto the other wing and see how that looks. And if I like it, we'll keep it. If we don't, we are going to stippling. Aha. Thank you, Captain Margaret. You're the best. We are going to see what just plain old purple looks like on here and just see if that works. Well, the contrast is definitely there a lot more, which I am a fan of. See, attempting to learn Japanese has ruined me on a lot of ways because now I just want to pronounce I's as a hard E sound. So I look at stippling and I want to say steepling. Okay, so this is the thing. It's purple, but it's the right value. And it's giving a lot of great texture to this. Way more than when I mixed it. You know what, guys? I think just the plain purple is the answer here. And we can do it over the ridges because those are going to get dry brushed with some black, which will cover it up. Okay, that is too patterned. The problem when you do this is that if you are too consistent in how you tap, you can get too consistent of a pattern, which does not look natural. And so, while still wet, we're going to try to lift some of this paint and try again. Because just in this section, try to work it off a little bit. Actually, that helped. That helped a lot. Okay. Okay, guys, we found the answer. It's purple. Purple is the key. Which is cool because of all the colors that are not my favorites, purple is my favorite. If that makes any sense at all. I have a couple favorite colors. I really like red. I really like black. High saturation. I really like good, like high saturated reds, high saturated blues, high saturated greens. Jewel tones specifically. Man, that's looking good. And a good purple, like I normally don't like purple, but a good purple. Oh, buddy, that is a solid color. So what I'm thinking then is that this cranberry wine purple here, I'm going to use as my kind of base layer for dry brushing before I hit black. And you know how we were talking about these horns up here? I'm thinking that if we go base coat purple and then black in there, that's going to look really good. So congratulations, purple. You get your own well, because I'm going to need some more of you. You are a little bit of a... what should I call it? Stiff paint? Viscous? I'm not sure. And it's time for a new piece of paper towel. So I have found that I think dry brushing is like my favorite part of painting now. It is so much fun because it really makes things pop. And I don't think I have yet to actually make a wash work properly, but I have a feeling that I really like washes too. And so, ooh, I may have gotten that one a little bit. Too much on there. I think that's fine. So dry brushing is probably going to be my favorite part of this process. Because effectively you get a lot out of very little effort. And you can be a little bit more aggressive with your brush, which subtlety is something that I have not developed in painting. Not yet, anyway. So there we go. I think the biggest thing that is a problem, at least that I see in mini painting, that stippling helps is it just things can look flat if you're not careful. And you know, things have texture. Things constantly have texture in real life, and having little bits of texture here and there just keeps things interesting. Now, obviously, you can overdo it, especially if your texturing is too. Well, I would say, well, I'm kind of guessing, but I would say contrasty. But then again, that can also really make it pop. But if you make it too busy, you have problems. So imagine if I was just using like pure white to do the same thing here. I mean, that would look pretty cool, not gonna lie. But if I did it at too high of a density, then you would start having problems. I just realized I did not make this saturated enough on this side. Okay, Jet. We put on the purple, and was it done? It does not look like purple. It looks like darker wing. That is exactly what I wanted to do. We have lucked out. We have lucked out there. So, cool beans. Well, body is pretty much dry now, so we're going for that red on the rest of the body. Now, I don't want to paint down too much onto the underside because I still want to make the underside lighter. And so we're just going to be doing kind of the very top layer, and then I'll try to blend the two later. Thank you, Captain Margaret. I mean, I think you might be biased, but I'll take it. Would it be better if I said cool potatoes? Because I think that might win you over a little bit more. Okay. And I'm thinking going with kind of like that purple and black. On the ridges is what's going to work really well. And then you like hot potatoes. What about potato salad? Like, those are cool potatoes. Like, is there room in here for potato salad? Yeah, so I'm thinking that that purple into black is what's going to be needed for the dry brushing to make these scales pop, to make this this ridge pop, and all of that. Okay. Cool. As I said, I don't want to go too far down the sides because I want to be able to give myself plenty of room to work the warmer colors on the bottom. Because the red that I'm working with right here is just, it's pretty cool. It is a cool color. And I don't mean that as in rad. Temperature wise, it is pretty cool. Try to get some glue off here. See, this is where maybe some tweezers or something like that would come in really handy. I'm not sure. But I do want to make sure that I get these joins good. Wow. Proper English. Get those joins good. All right. Let's see. Oh, there's another one. See, this is why you don't have to clean everything up perfectly before you start painting, because as you paint, you start noticing little parts that do need to get cleaned up. Oh, I need to stop sitting on my foot. Whew. Okay. I hope you don't mind me popping my knuckles because I just did. Cool. What next? That's all wet. So, okay. Do we go for the underwing now? Is that what we're doing now? Trying to figure out how to warm this up with some orange. I think it is. So, again, I want these colors to be more saturated. I do not want them to be too bright and too cool. And I've been using burnt sienna for that. So I'm going to be throwing some burnt sienna into this orange to keep it in kind of the same pattern or the same values. So I'm probably going to need a decent amount of this. Oh, this orange is nice and soupy. Cool. I'm going to throw some burnt sienna in here. And if I need to warm it up, I can throw a little bit of yellow in there to warm it up even more. So, my stir stick. My deadly stir stick. Now, what I found is that not a lot of dark goes a long way. I may have even overdone the burnt sienna on this orange. But we'll see. Actually, no. That seems about right. It's actually helped me a little bit watching digital artists and how they choose their colors and where they try to work on their color wheel to help me understand like the different dimensions of kind of where colors are and where they come from. I should have had you in here. Okay. So I think we start with just trying to do kind of a light coat. And we really only want to work on the areas of really stay within the boundaries where we've already worked. But I think we can use this larger brush to just kind of do some quick work of this. Okay, orange. Don't fail me now. Oh, that is going on thick. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be super interesting. We may have to darken this up with a little bit of red. Just to make sure that the colors don't clash too much. I may have just needed to take some red and warm it up with orange. But we also may need to just let this dry first and see how the color comes out. You know, actually something that I'm noticing is that the color that I'm getting on stream is a little bit more accurate to the color that it will dry as, which is an odd cheat. So I keep glancing over chat, and the last chat is, I like hot potatoes. I'm just like, I mean, legit. Okay, I think that's good enough for now, just to do our test run. Oh, I legit just completely missed a spot over here for my red. Okay, that might be, in all honesty, I feel like that's a little bit too orange. So, in our ever experimental way, let's take some more of that red with burnt sienna, which we were doing over here. But I want a new color. We'll still need that red. Go about there. And we're going to throw some couple drops of orange to lighten up the red. And then that one drop of burnt sienna to get the color darken just a little bit. And we'll see what this turns out to be. Hopefully, it's not a complete muddled mess. It might be. It's kind of browny. Oh, there, the red's coming through again now. That's better. I think I may need more orange and more red excuse me, more orange and use red to flavor it, so to speak. There we go. Now we'll see what this side looks like with this. I'm not seeing enough of a difference here. I definitely like the tone. It's a bit brighter, but it's probably going to dry pretty close to what it was originally. But we'll see. You can do both and see what it looks like. Also might be worth trying to do a fade from the outside of the wing to the inside. Kind of, again, going with that hot core, cool exterior. Much like a baked potato. So we can clean that up a little bit. Alrighty. Okay, we'll see how this goes. Ooh. Now, I think I may just have to do a lot of layers, because if I'm looking at it here, that's nice and bright, but that is just too bright. That is too much orange. So I think we're going to have to try to fix this up a little bit. I mean, there's just not enough red in it. Like it doesn't look like it's the same creature, at least from what I'm seeing. Like I think it might be a good base coat to then darken into a more red color, but as it stands, I feel like it's too much. That's what I'm running into. I think I need more orange in the color that I used on this wing that brightened it up. Because I'm not sure if you can see, this is the original red, and then that's the new color. But I need to let it dry to see how well it looks. And that's really what it comes down to, is I need to let both of them dry before I can really tell what's going on. I would love to work on the back here, but there is just still too much wet paint. I'm going to try and pull some of it off. So it dries faster. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know, Captain Margaret. I do not know. Yeah, not going to come off. Okay, so what are we waiting on? On that to dry. Waiting on that to dry. What I can say is I do think that this orange is a good bet for this. Is a good bet for this front throat area, and then down under the belly. Especially if it was. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna throw some red in that. You do like the contrast. That's fair. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I know how I made this orange, so we're just going to throw some red in it, see what happens. Chemistry time. Because I think that the issue is just the orange. I think the orange is the right value. It just doesn't have the amount of red in it that I want. See, oh, there we go. That's already looking a lot better. That's already looking so much better. Okay, so I'm going to try this again. But now that I have the red in it, I think it's going to turn out a lot better. There we go. Yep. I think I was just missing the red in that orange. Like it was just too yellowy for my liking. Where this has the same red that's everywhere else, and so it connects a little bit better. At least that's what my eye's seeing. I think the chest, belly, and underwing should be the same mesh. Yeah, definitely. There are some significant model differences. Right here, you can see that he changes from having kind of like this musculature to having these plates, and I really want to make sure that I do something cool with that. And so I think these are going to be the brightest parts. I might even go into like an ivory. Might even go into kind of an ivory color. So I think I'm kind of going on with like a salmonish color here with this orange. And yeah, I'm thinking that works pretty well. I think that's going to dry into a darker color. Get that back on camera. And then I'll actually use legit yellow to try to dry brush some stuff on here. Okay, I'm liking that. Yeah. Yeah, that's the back. That's the front. Yeah. I'm liking this. The orange has been saved. Just add red. So something to watch out for is that on the other side, I had an orange as the base coat, effectively. So it's going to be a lot more saturated. This right side, or this side over here that I'm doing right now, might need some a second layer of this kind of salmon orange to really compete with the other wing properly. Right now, I'm really trying not to go off the edges, or to wrap around the edges. I'm just trying to get it off because I'm going to have to do a seam of colors here. To really make this work. There we go. And that is the last of my orange that I had mixed up. Cool. Now I don't want any paint. Pools. So try and brush all this out. Oh yeah, that's nice and intimidating. Kind of like those animals that will like flare wings, or like a cobra, where it flares those neck flaps to intimidate. Having, I like the idea of thinking of dragons or any fantastical creature as a part of an ecosystem, where it's like they may have predators, and I could totally see a dragon especially when it's a smaller dragon, rearing back and flaring out these big bright wings to really just like shock a predator, potentially away from attacking it. Okay, that's still drying. You know what I think it's time for? It is time to finish the base coat. Burnt sienna, hello again. We are going to be covering everything else while we let everything else dry. Okay, you kind of got a crust on top, didn't you? Okay, so this is where it's annoying that I printed this on a base. And sorry if you guys do not get a good view of this, but I may have to sacrifice some camera angles for some quality painting angles. I'm going to try to avoid his teeth for a moment because I want to get those nice and bright. Let's get you all painted up, shall we? I could probably use a bigger brush here. But you know what? I'm not feeling it at the moment. Oh man, there's such good detail on here that's going to dry brush very well. I think we really hit on to something with that purple because that's going to make these outer areas dry brush and darken pretty well. Because that's something that I found with that blue dragon that I did previously. Actually, I'll show you. Is I made with the legs, I made the outside light, but then tried to make the inside of the legs dark. And that's just, I mean, that's kind of how shadows work, but that isn't how a good dry brush works. And so keeping this as a, hey, everything on the outside is going to be darker. Everything on the outside is going to be darker. And then everything on the inside is going to be lighter. Can just really help with that. And with that purple as a dry brush to help darken up those outer bits, that's really going to help. Like I said, I am never printing directly onto a base again because this is a pain. I haven't even gotten to the worst part and it's already annoying. Okay. I don't really need to do much on the big horns, but it's not going to hurt it if they get a little bit messy with this base coat. I mean, I could have just base coated this whole thing at once, which honestly wouldn't have been a bad idea. But this gives me something to do while I'm waiting for other things to dry. Man, there's a lot of nooks and crannies around here. It's going to be a little bit difficult to paint. Back of the flare. All these kind of scales and protrusions you really have to push into. One thing that is nice about a big base, though, you can hear the drop. No, is it's really easy to like handle. Like there's a lot of things to grab. There's a lot of leverage. But I could probably do this just fine with just grabbing onto the legs and such. How long are we going? 2 hours? Woo! I mean, I'm pretty happy for the progress we've made in 2 hours. Okay, I think that's everything around the head. Nope, did not get done all the way under the chin. As I said before, there's places that it's fine to miss because no one will ever see. But then again, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, not a complete perfectionist by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm a little bit of a lazy perfectionist. I'm just like, okay, if I can just, why leave it if you can finish it? Okay, and then going through lifting any residual paint, because that's another annoying thing about doing this is you get little pools of paint. Okay. Whew. Ugh. Now this is the worst part. And sorry, but you will probably not be able to see most of this because I have to hold this thing upside down so I even get an angle. Guess in the meantime, let's see. A fun hobby story I can tell. I mean, I could tell the story of how Bjorn Thunderfist? Ooh, I can't remember his last name. Bjorn killed dragon with some frying pans. I mean, not entirely literally, but that's the best. That's the best hook. So I was DMing a game. Whenever we play D&D, I normally DM. I am kind of the in-house DM. That's my favorite part of playing D&D. And we were playing West Marches. And if you're not familiar with a West Marches campaign, it's very much a hex crawl. You go out and explore. You find interesting places, get loot. You're supposed to be able to do an adventure in one sitting. At least the one that I was running, and stuff like that. And so it had been a day. Like the party had been out for quite a while. They had had many encounters. They had found a lot of new places, gotten a lot of experience, and they came to this last place. They were really far into the wilds, and they came across this location that had an obelisk, and they observed it for a while and saw that there was this blue dragon wormling running around. They're like, we can take it. But in a miscommunication of description and assumption, they did not realize that said blue dragon wormling had wings and could fly. And so as they're setting up their trap, they were thinking, hey, we're just gonna make a campfire, get some smoke, try to lure it out. We're gonna have pots and pans in the fire to make, to rattle and make noise. Everyone's hiding and stuff. And so they're like, it'll be great. It'll come down. Well, it started flying out, and they're like, wait, it has wings? I'm just like, yes, it's a dragon. And they're like, you said wormling. I'm just like, so? They're like, wormlings don't have wings. I'm like, wormling just means a very young dragon. Yeah, of course it has wings. And they're like, oh, we didn't understand that. And so they're just like, you know what? These are first game characters. There's no backstory. Let's just effectively go YOLO it. And so they decided to all try to hide, and of course the paladin failed his stealth check. And the dragon came down, and it was just going to be flying around, just evaporating them with lightning breath. Until Bjorn had this great idea, which is he was on a small rise, a small cliff. And down below was his pots and pans. Pardon me. And so he decided, you know what? Let's use those pots and pans on the end of a rope as an impromptu grappling hook. Because this dragon was just going to fly around them all day. So he grabbed said grappling hook, went diving off the edge of the cliff, threw the grappling hook, nailed his check, and was able to snag the dragon, pull him down just far enough to the ground that the party barbarian was able to grapple him, thus reducing his movement speed. And a few spells and a few attacks later, and one tremendous smite from the paladin, and the dragon was slain. And it was all due to Bjorn running off of a cliff while screaming, "I'm coming, ladies!" and grappling the dragon down to the ground. So there has been many a good story involving a dragon in Dungeons & Dragons. Who knew? It's one of my favorite stories. I actually did a little animated short of it when I was learning how to do 2D animation. Just doing a little cinematic thing. Oh, good grief, these angles are terrible. The brush is getting clogged. Which was a ton of fun. I'm trying my hand at a bunch of random things. Not all of them. A few of them succeeding, but definitely fun to try my hand at them. I said I've done a good amount of pencil drawing, and halfway decent at that. Try my hand at 2D animation. Nothing more complicated than some bouncing balls and particularly animated squares. Then this last year, I started learning computer coding, learning C#, utilizing that in the Unity engine. Had some good success with that, although kind of burned out on motivation. I'm off screen again. It's hard to remember exactly where the camera can actually see. Okay, how do I paint this part? Right, I have to go in from this angle, I'm pretty sure. Man, this is some interesting angles to get. See, I'm trying to get all in like there, like in the front, and the legs are just in the wrong spot. The base is just in the